Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Cross-Border Talks. We are again focusing on Eastern Europe. And today our guest is Katarzyna Duda, who is a trade unionist from Poland, who is also a member of a Together Left party, but who is first of all the author of two books in which she shows the ugly face of Central Eastern European capitalism. In her first book, she portrayed the places where during the socialist era, people had stable jobs in the state-owned factories, but then during the transition, they suddenly lost everything. Their job and basically the whole culture, the whole environment that existed around the factory. In her second and newest book called Corpo, she takes on the multinationals, the corporations that often came basically in the place of the closed down state-owned factories. Katarzyna says in the introduction to her book that had someone coming to a job interview in a transnational actually knew all the secrets of the place, he or she would have never agreed to work in a place. We are going to find out these secrets. We are going to have a look at the job market, at the labor market in Central Eastern Europe, and we are also going to look for solutions for that. Katarzyna, so thank you for being with us in Cross-Border Talks.
Thank you for the invitation and good afternoon.
And I couldn't forget my great colleague Veronika Susova-Salminen, the Czech-Finnish expert on everything Central Eastern Europe. So and please guys, don't forget to subscribe to Cross-Border Talks. We are on YouTube, we are everywhere, basically on Rumble, Spotify, whatever you want. So please don't forget to subscribe, and now we can pass to the first question. So Katarzyna, can you reveal to us some of the dark secrets of the corporations, of the transnationals? What are the nastiest things that the corporations hide from potential employees? Before you answer, I just wanted to say that the things happening in these supposedly model employers can be really nasty, really scary, and really tragic, because your book is devoted to the memory of an employee who actually died in an Amazon warehouse in Poland. And the situation is even more tragic given that Amazon today boasts to get the title of a top employer of 2022. So imagine this. Amazon is hailed as a model employer in many European countries, and at the same time, one of the employees loses his life during a shift in a factory. So what is wrong with corporations, and what they don't want to tell us?
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much that you have mentioned about Dariusz Jamski, who died 1 year ago in Amazon. And I dedicated him my book, and in 3 weeks we have anniversary of 1 year anniversary of his death, and we are going to me and his wife, we are going to meet to employees from Amazon to talk about working conditions now and about what and if anything happened after his death. So the main problem with working conditions and with multinational corporation, I think, is the lack of democracy in these companies, and lack of democracy, and the fact that the main goal is to have bigger and bigger profits. It's the reason why working conditions are so poor, why people even die there, because the main goal is not to make working conditions better, more comfortable. The goal is not to hear and listen to workers about their problems, their needs. The main goal is just to make profits. And Dariusz Jamski died 1 year ago, although 1 month earlier he talked to the leader of his leader. He talked to the leader that the working conditions are bad, that he should change something, but the leader didn't listen to him. So that's the problem, that that people want to change something, want to improve their workplaces, but corporation and leaders don't want to listen to them. So the result is death of Dariusz Jamski, and there are many examples in my book of the situations of lack of democracy. What's the result of this process? So, for example, we've got in foreign companies so-called benefits. And many people think that it's something very very good, yes, that companies offer these benefits. For example, companies offer private healthcare, yes, and something like that. But if workers want to change it into something else, for example, they want to earn more, or they want to have money for more money, during holidays, corporations didn't want to hear that. Yes, they give these benefits, but they are not open to any discussion. There is no discussion. So even if the company shows its better face, we should be suspicious. That probably it's not as good as many people think. Behind that benefits, there is also a lack of democracy and a kind of authoritarian face of corporations. So at the very beginning, I think that's the most important.
Okay, I will now ask more general question, because I think it's pretty important to understand how we get here. Poland and all therefore countries are seen by many as successful models for economic transformation. This economic transformation was based on basically 2 pillars. First pillar was foreign direct investments, meaning that our governments, and Poland was among the pioneers in it, basically in the early 90s already. Our governments betted deliberately on attracting the foreign companies, and betted deliberately on adjusting our labor markets, our economies, and well-being of the all societies according to competitive approach, which was that foreign direct investment will not come if we will not do this and that, and if we will not adjust, if we will have not competitive enough. And the part of the competitive model is then the second part, and so-called cheap labor. This is what you said already. You said it. If they want to talk about salary increase, they don't want to hear it, because all the model is based. The reason why they are in Poland, the reason why they are in the Czechia, the reason why they go to Hungary, and so on, is that salaries are low. much more lower in the core countries of the European Union and still lower than in Southern Europe, by the way, for example. So I would like to ask you about how we get here and what are the particular these changes which happened over the last 3 decades in the particularly Polish market, labor market. And by the way, we speak about Poland, and here I would emphasize one of the biggest ironies of the Polish development is that it was the Solidarność, it was the trade union who were behind the transition, and actually the result is that trade union these days are much more weaker, and the labor market and the labor rights are much more weaker than you would guess based on this fact. So how is this context, and what did the foreign direct investment model and the cheap labor model did with the labor market in Poland and with the rights of workers in Poland in general?
I have to mention about 1990s and a high unemployment rate at the beginning of Polish transformation. Unemployment rate was very, very high, even 20 or in some areas even 30% of citizens were unemployed because of transformation, because many public institutions were closed and because of privatization. Yes, so unemployment rate was very high, and politicians wanted to offer people any jobs, and every private company, foreign company, big company were welcome. Yeah, because the main goal of Polish politicians in 1990s and in the next 20 years was just to offer people jobs, and the quality of these jobs weren't as important as just jobs. So, for example, in Wałbrzych in 1990s, it's a city, yeah, in Dolnośląskie Voivodeship. In Wałbrzych in 1990s, 3 mines were closed. These public companies employed about 20,000 people, miners, and then politicians had a huge problem with this area, with the people that lost everything. And many private foreign companies were invited to run a business close to Wałbrzych. So that's why Poland was so open and to multinational companies as Amazon, yes. And for many other companies, but people that remember how was it to work before 1989 often repeat that that was a completely different workplace, completely different world, that the main value for public institutions before 1989 were people. So the most important was worker, not profits. And after this change, everything changed. Including the power of trade unions. because as you have mentioned, solidarity was so powerful and big between 1989, but after that and now, I have to quote a trade unionist from one foreign company who said that now we feel fear because Amazon is so powerful. Yeah, that now Amazon has power and may even decide that trade unions will lose their jobs. Yes, that this fight is not equal now. That even Solidarity, one of the main trade union confederation, is not a partner for Amazon. That Amazon may hire and fire people whenever it wants. So what happened 30 years after 1989 is dramatically change in that people changed their opinion about trade unions, about even about organizations that want to improve working conditions. So people just don't want to join organizations that collect people. People just want to do everything on their own. Yeah, so it's individualism. That's what evolved after transformation of Polish economy. So yeah.
Okay, I will still react on this, what you said about that in the early 1990s, the attraction of the foreign capital and FDIs was based on the kind of, I would say it was element of crisis management, because the shock therapy, especially in Poland, was not working well, and people lost so much jobs, and basically the whole economy shrank so much that basically those who started it were in shock. But this let's say crisis management element is with us still 30 years ago. You have argued in one interview that these foreign investors are actually not creating jobs. Politicians often say they are creating jobs. You actually argue something else. So could you actually elaborate on this? They are not creating jobs in Poland, you said, but they are replacing the jobs in Poland. So how this mechanism works?
Exactly. I would even say that they are stealing jobs. They are not giving jobs. They are stealing jobs from people from other countries. Yes, from the Great Britain, from the United States, from France, from Spain. Many companies that run their businesses in Poland 5 or 10 years ago. They employed people in different countries, mainly in Western Europe, but also in the United States. So many of them just close companies in other countries, and they don't take care of the people that must live there. So in the United States, yes, in the Great Britain, even if these companies are British companies or French companies, they don't take care of the people, yes, that are similar to them. and they decide to earn more, and they can earn more here in Poland, where wages are not so high. But they also they don't take care of us, of Poles, because we cannot feel safe in 5 years, in 10 years, when wages and political situation will be better in Western Europe, Eastern Europe, on the south of Europe. They will close their companies here in Poland, and in 1 year, in 2 years, they will leave us. Yeah, so that's how multinational companies work. Yeah, that the main goal is to spend less for wages, to earn more, and they all the time think about better places to run a business. Today it's Poland, but yesterday it was France, but tomorrow it might be Bulgaria, yes, or Greece or Romania. Yeah, so that's the process which is called outsourcing. Yes, it's a part of globalization. But in fact, we can say, of course, that they give us jobs, but at the same time, they steal jobs from people from other countries.
Now I wanted to have a little bit bird eye view on Polish labor market, because your book is full of really drastic examples of what happened in multinationals. There is basically everything there. There is exploitation, there is work overtime, there are low wages. There is even a chapter on workers who work on moderating content in the internet and who are exposed to brutal or obscene content without any psychological support from the side of the company. So there is really everything in that book. One could then ask, so why are still people willing to work in corporations in Poland? Perhaps the other workplaces, or even worse, or there is no alternative. So I could ask, is this that only multinationals come to Eastern Europe to exploit local people, or the whole system is rotten? And if the answer is that the whole system has a problem, then how can we start repairing it?
Why do people work in these companies? I would say about two main reasons. The first one are wages, which are not so bad when it comes to Polish conditions. Yes, when it comes to Polish labor market, and wages are not usually the minimum. So it's one of the most important reason. And the second reason is that many people come from small cities, villages, where there is almost no alternative, and they travel to their work, to these multinational companies, even 1 hour or 2 hours, because there is no alternative. After 1989, when so many Polish public companies were closed, these multinational companies didn't decide to replace them at these places where they were located. Yes, so multinational companies choose places and areas close to bigger cities, yeah, and that's the second reason. So wages and the fact that that there is no alternative in many small cities. And you asked about Polish labor market. I have to say that that generally speaking, we've got problems everywhere, even in public institutions, even at schools, at public schools. You know, we've got problems with short-term contracts, with exploitation. Yeah, so that's private foreign companies aren't exception, but it's a part of a bigger problem. Yeah, it's a part of bigger problem that the state doesn't focus on developing trade union movement, that the state doesn't focus on improving labor code, that our state wants to attract foreign companies, that our state doesn't want to be employer for bigger employer, doesn't want to, you know, open new companies. Yeah, so the problem is that there are so many short-term contracts in Poland. Around 2 million people work on these short-term contracts and don't have so many workers' rights. And many people that are employed by foreign companies work on this basis, but not only. Polish small companies are not angels. So we know that for many people it's a horror to work in a small Polish company. So Polish labor market, generally speaking, needs very big reform or even revolution, because Polish trade union movement needs to be stronger. Yeah, only 12% of people, of workers, are members of trade unions. Whereas there are about 50 or 60% workers abroad, yes, that are members of trade unions, but the state doesn't support regulations that could help trade unions to grow. Yeah, and I have to mention that we need education about workers' rights, about trade unions at public schools, but it's not a key issue for the political party, yeah, the right-wing political party now. The more important, yes, is to teach about right-wing past, yes, and persons, then to teach about current workers' rights.
this is actually perfectly playing in my to my question, because we know, and I'm not Polish, so I'm not insider in this, but we can observe that the current governmental party, meaning Prawo i Sprawiedliwość, Law and Justice Party, is putting itself in the position of some kind of semi-anti-establishment party with a strong social conservative agenda, and many people outside of the Poland are seeing it as some kind of example for some kind of social policy. And you talk about the state now, that state is not willing to change it. So could you, in a nutshell, tell us what actually the government of peace, law and justice did or offered, if it did even, I don't know, I'm asking, as an alternative model to this rotten model you described? I mean, the model in which you are inviting the foreign investors, you are inviting foreign capital, you are changing all labor market according to its needs, which is of course turning into the domestic problem, because all must compete within the same system. So what did the governments, and there were several already, it's not now only, law and justice is by government quite long. What they did with this system, or did they support it actually?
The Law and Justice Party, I would even say that strongly supports this model, this system. They even behave very similarly like foreign companies. Even if they give something to the people, we should be suspicious, because the reason why they give them benefits or social programs, it's not because it's a part of their ideology. It's not the main reason is not to help people. The main reason is when I talk about private companies, foreign companies, is to have to give a kind of illusion that they take care of people, but Law and Justice offered many years ago to families program which is called 500 plus, 500 złotych per one child, and it's one of the most important program that they provided. They also offered older people additional money when they get retired, but these solutions are not a part of system. It's not a part of, but it's a kind of benefit, you know. So in private companies, we could earn more, yeah, and but companies didn't want to pay us more. They offer us benefits, yeah, and this government is very similar, behaves very similar, because the government could raise minimum wage much more and provide many changes in law, but they don't want to do that. But sometimes they offer to people social programs, yes, which are not a part of system. So people can feel that that there is a lack of democracy, you know, and I have to mention about one very significant incident which happened 3 years ago, I think so, when trade unions and employers organizations discussed about minimum wage, how high it should be, and they offered to the government a kind of solution, yes, how high it should be. But what happened? The government didn't consult it with trade unions and employers. And a few days after that situation, the government offered higher minimum wage within any consultation with trade unions. And it wanted the government, it showed that the government didn't want to discuss with trade unions, didn't want to make trade unions stronger, you know. The government just wants to be perceived as the good father that who is better than even than trade unions. So it's not a healthy, you know, a partner for trade unions. It's not a healthy democracy if the government behaves like that. That's so we should be very suspicious every time the government is looks like, you know, good father.
Indeed, we need to be suspicious in Poland whenever a right-wing government tells us that something will happen to our benefit, because, you know, everything in Poland was supposed to be to our benefit. The foreign investment, the low taxes, even there was an idea to put trade unions out of the workplaces, which was also supposed to be of our benefit, but for our luck, it did not happen. But now I wanted to ask you, this will be perhaps the last question as our time is getting over. So my last question would be about the workers' resistance, because your book gives also examples of people who tried to organize in factories despite all the obstacles posed by the employer. And not only tried, you also mentioned people who actually set up trade unions and who relate their friends, their workmates to protest. We had a huge protest in Solaris at the beginning of the year. Solaris is a Boss factory belonging to a Spanish multinational. It is located in Western Poland. And it was a historic strike because the workers actually stopped the factory for more than 2 months, no, for more than a month. It was 6 weeks, if I am not mistaken. Well, in any case, I wanted to ask you, is a resistance growing in factories? Are people trying to tell multinationals that they want the democratic workplaces, that they want better conditions, and they don't want to be the cheap labor force anymore? How does the situation look like?
There were many strikes last year in Poland, in foreign private companies, and that was something new. I think that was something very inspiring for people from other companies who thought that it's impossible to organize against a multinational company, that it's impossible to go on strike. Yeah, but people from trade unionists and common workers from Solaris showed that it's possible, that workers that are united even with different trade unions, and that it's important to unite within trade union and with other trade unions in the private company, and that they showed that it's their power, that's the way that they can rise their salaries, that only when they are together, yeah, they are powerful as they were this year and last year. So there are many foreign companies that didn't want let workers to unite, including call centers. It's very difficult to unite in call centers which offer people short-term contracts, usually for 6 months or for one year. So that's a very big obstacle for trade unions that want to evolve, yeah, and grow in private companies. But thanks to these examples from Solaris, from PAROK, we can build strategy in other companies how to organize protest, manifestation, or strike. And I have to mention that very important. It was very important to cooperate with media, and including foreign media. Was interesting. Parliamentary member from my Together left-wing party appealed from the parliament to trade unions and to the government from Spain to push on Solaris to rise wages in Poland. Yeah, because Solaris is Spanish, now it's Spanish company. So it's important to cooperate with media, to talk about Polish problem abroad, especially with politicians, yeah, and with trade unions. So we have to learn when we analyze these strikes in Solaris and in PAROK, we have to learn how to deal with this new companies, multinational companies.
When you mentioned the need to work with foreign media, I thought that to solve the problems of markets in Central Eastern Europe, we need, generally speaking, international cooperation, that we need to support contacts between trade unionists within the region. And we also should need to push for more social Europe so that there is no division between the core countries and the peripheries where multinationals migrate for cheap labor. So those are definitely questions to be resolved on international scale, and with the very important principle of internationalism that was always one of the key rules of the trade union movements or workers' movements in general. But this is perhaps a topic for another conversation in cross-border talks. We are here to enhance such international contacts and cooperation, and we were very happy to host today Katarzyna Duda, the author of Corpo, the book that is so far available in Polish, but hopefully it will be available in other regional languages as well. So we were very happy to discuss today this important topic with Katarzyna. Thank you for your attention. Don't forget to subscribe to Cross Border Talks. Thank you, Veronika, for co-hosting this episode with me, and I hope we see each other again soon. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.